Okay, hello. This video is for adjuncts or people first time teaching the cell Bio113 lab, which takes place in this room 218 in the McMichael building. And I just wanted to give you a brief introduction to this room for those of you that have not used it before. First off, you should note that this room is only used for this one lab class. So that's really nice. A lot of the room is dedicated to be organized for this class, which is wonderful. In terms of general layout, as you can see, the tables in the lab, there's 6 of them, and they're each organized for 4 students or slightly more or less to use in group work, which is how most labs are set up. There should be 4 chairs for each table. You should note that these tables they do have electrical outlets, but there's something a little unusual about them. So these outlets, which you can flip up in each table, contain sockets, but the tables themselves need to be connected to another socket. So there's actually the side of this table you can kind of see running down the leg is the electrical wire, which then plugs into the floor sockets. And you have to be a little careful that people don't plug them in so they are tripping hazards. So I just want to point that out. So the students sit at tables of 4, and then they will get their reagents. Some of their reagents will be present at the side of the lab on the table. Other ones will be kept in a bench over in that corner of the lab, and I'll show you that in a minute. And normally what we do is ask the students to go get their reagents or equipment as needed and bring them back to their tables to work in groups. So that's a little bit about the students and how the room is organized for them. What about you, the instructor? The instructor's table is at the front of the lab here. Behind it is a big whiteboard. Half of the whiteboard is currently covered by this pull-down projector screen, which you can use for PowerPoint projections. If you choose to do so, to use PowerPoint, the projector is pretty easy to work. The projector's up in the ceiling right there. In order to turn it on, you require this remote, which will be present on the teacher's table. And you can just take this remote over to the projector and just hit the on button. The light will turn on at the bottom of the projector and will warm up. As for connecting your computer to that projector, there is a cable in the wall over here. Should not be left on the floor because people tread on it. But it's basically a standard VGA connector, as you can see. So you can just go ahead and plug that into your machine with an adapter if needed, and it should come right out onto that screen. So that's the way you plug your projector in to have it work. The other important thing to note about this teacher table is this book. So this book is present. It should never leave this table, but what it contains are instructions for, as it says here, what TAs and instructors need to do when they get into the lab. And this is organized one sheet for each one of the labs that you're going to do. And it's kind of useful because it just makes sure that you have everything you need to start the lab when it becomes time to start. So it's kind of a checklist for you to use when you do that. So what I'll do now is just have a quick walk around at the lab, and I'll tell you where things are that are important to know. Safety stuff, I guess. First of all, you shouldn't need it, but you have to know where this stuff is. There are eye washes present on the sinks. There's one sink on this side of the lab and another one right behind me on completely the opposite side of the lab, mirror image to this one. These eyeglasses pull out, and then they have a handle that you pull, and out comes the water. Very useful for cleaning eyes or test tubes. We do have a shower, should you ever need it, which you probably won't, but it's in this little connector lab, this prep room. Right through here, there is a safety shower. There it is. And there is a first aid kit on this wall right here, which you should know about. And going back to the sink by the front entrance to the lab is something that you probably need most of all. Under here, there should be a dustpan brush for if anything gets broken. And the glass disposable waste is right here, as you can see. So in this corner of the lab, this is sort of the main sink. So there's blue tubs for dirty glassware, measuring cylinders, some extra glassware up here. Extra pipettes and things are present in the drawers down here, should you need them. The drawers in this lab are labeled pretty well, which is good. This is the junk drawer, which actually is incredibly useful for if you ever need any spatulas, the measuring spoons are in here, that kind of thing. Always check the junk drawer in doubt. And the other thing to note about the drawers and cabinets in this lab is that they're actually set up specifically for each lab. So the macromolecules lab, the first one you'll be doing, this whole set of drawers has, this bottom one has cell respiration stuff in. These macromolecules lab have things that you're going to require for that lab. So for example, you have extra colorimetric supplies. All the stuff that you should need for a lab should be out on either the individual tables or over in that corner. But if you need extras, always look around the lab to check the various cupboards. So the photosynthesis stuff is here, etc., etc. Around the lab there are a couple of spectrophotometers, look like this. Of course, water baths, which you'll need. Extra micropipettes are over here. The students will have no idea how to use these, so you should always do a tutorial before they touch one of these, because they really don't know how to use them at all. Over here is a small chemical cabinet which has reagents that you will use for all the various different labs. So should you run out, this is always a good place to check. Moving up to this side of the lab, this is where gloves are normally kept, right over on this bench. And this bench in the corner is where your reagents will be for any given lab that you're doing on that week. The lab technician should set those up so you can use them. And then finally, I guess, there is a fridge freezer in the lab right here, which also contains stuff that is temperature sensitive to use in your various labs, like enzymes and things kept up here, and then there'll be buffers and things down here. So it's always worth looking in there too. Students don't go in here, but it's useful to know that that stuff is there. Here's the other sink. There will be DI water supplies over here in these carboys. There's no direct line, but you can use these for your DI water needs. And I think that's about it. So it's a nice space. It's comfortable to use. Have fun.